All right, we're doing this. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's good to have you. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit about Magpul's bolt action mag weld for the STANAG magazines. It's an option that I've only seen for the Hunter American stocks, and I'm not really sure if it works with the other Hunter stocks. So, more on that in a little bit. What do the acronyms even mean? STANAG, AICS, etc. In brevity, and as it applies to this video, STANAG is AR magazines, specifically AR-15 magazines. Now, speaking of magazines, you folks see that I got a few things set up here on the box. So here I've got the factory stock for the Ruger American rifle. This one happens to be for a ranch rifle. This stock originally came with the barreled action here. And from the factory, it used these rotary magazines. These things are terrible. These magazines are, I guess, they might not be terrible. For the way I wanted to use them, they sucked. And I stand by that statement today. And it's not only because I have two of these Hunter American stocks to compare it to, I'm also comparing it to the magazine insert for the AR mags. Now, there's a number of reasons that I hate these magazines. One is because they're expensive as hell. Two is because this is a much better option. If we're talking about 5.56, 300 blackout, or maybe not so much this magazine in particular, but the ability to use this type of magazine, the AR-15 magazines, which is not limited to our 5.56, 223, and 300 blackout magazines. I've got some more samples, or rather, I've got some more examples that I'll mention later on in the video, but got to keep this going. By the way, I should also mention that the reason I have all of this out is because I don't know what you have or what you're trying to do as far as what rifle is going to be chambered in what, using what magazine. So I think this will answer possibly, I think that this will answer most questions or clarify some things. So for anyone generally familiar with this style of Hunter stocks by Magpul, in particular, the version for the Remington 700, you'll know that you can buy a piece that looks something like this. This is what came with each of these stocks. So the reason I bring up the Hunter 700 stock is because this piece was, or the equivalent to this piece for that application from Magpul, was an optional thing. The Hunter 700 stock uses the factory bottom metal from your Remington 700. Now, one of the reasons you might want to use this is because detachable magazines. Who wouldn't want detachable magazines if the option is a hinged floor plate or these? Assuming you're only going to have one magazine, perhaps. This magazine is specifically for 308 Winchester and cartridges with similar diameters. For instance, 6.5 Creedmoor. I guess 270 is a long action. These magazines I actually have not used. And the reason is because this is for the 308 family of cartridges. And that's going to be 308 Winchester, 6.5 Creedmoor. This top piece of brass is 243 Winchester. Interestingly enough, though, I believe 6.5 Grendel can fit in this magazine. I don't know if that means it's going to chamber 6.5 Grendel, but it is what it is. As far as AICS-pattern magazines are concerned, I've got a few examples here. These are all for 223. Actually, this middle one can also be used for 300 blackout and similar cartridges. More on these in a later video, but this is kind of, you'll see why I brought these out here in a little bit. Now, as far as our STANAG bolt action magwell, this is our 300 blackout rifle. This 300 blackout has kind of been the bane of my existence as far as reloading is concerned for a number of reasons. One, I had to find out the time-consuming and expensive way that this rifle hates CCI 450 primers. I don't know why, because this one doesn't seem to mind one way or the other. Now, as far as which is better out of AICS-pattern mags or STANAG mags for 300 blackout, that kind of depends. And I know if I start talking about it, I'll keep on talking about it, and it's going to be a little ridiculous. But in brevity, when you're making dummy rounds, or when you're reloading, you can use multiple overall lengths. Heavier bullets tend to be longer, and heavier bullets, at least as far as 300 blackout is concerned, are what people gravitate toward when they're looking for subsonic loads. Is it worth it? Well, that depends, because the answer to the question is based on a few things. One of which is, what is your rifle chambered in? If it's chambered in something that can be fed fairly reliably through an AR platform, then the STANAG option seems to be the better option, one would imagine. However, like I said in the last video on this about these rifles, I don't know if you can buy one of these. If you can buy another AICS bolt action magwell for these rifles. I don't know if these are interchangeable, but you would imagine if Magpul makes all the stocks, that part would be a 1-for-1. However, it's probably not. Just so you got to buy the one they want you to buy. Now, if you're shooting something with a smaller diameter case head like 223/556, 300 blackout, or maybe a Wildcat like 277 Wolverine, this might actually be the better option to buy the stock that comes with the AICS bolt action magwell. Goodness gracious, can I speak today? Now, we'll talk about these magazines in a later video, but basically, with these magazines, the Magpul magazine works a little bit differently than the rest. And we'll get more on that later, in a later video, that is. Well, folks, as far as which version of the stock I think you should get, if you reload, I would say go with the version of the stock that comes with the AICS magwell. If you only intend on shooting factory ammo and you're pretty sure you are never ever going to reload, get the version of the stock with the bolt action magwell, assuming, like I've said earlier, that the gun is chambered in a cartridge that's not unheard of in ARs, AR-15s at least. If we're talking a 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor, 6 Creedmoor, or something that's not going to go through an AR-15, obviously you want to get the AICS-pattern magwell to go with that. I think that should have answered most questions, but in case I fail to answer your question, or if you have a question, just go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'll get back to it. So, until next time, folks, I hope all your shots fall in place to make one hole ever so slightly bigger with each pull of the trigger. See you next time, folks.